Welcome everyone to my exclusive Insurance WebEx Insider web class, the 4 action steps for making more money and getting results now. This is Ann Bachrach. Now make sure you have a way to take notes because we're going to have 4 specific times to think about answers to questions and create some kind of action follow-up game plan. So make sure you have a way to take some notes. Of course, feel free to answer any questions you have in the question area of the GoToMeeting, and I will answer them when I can. Okay, let's get rolling. Today, again, we're going to be talking about 4 action steps for making more money and getting results. So the first one is stopping procrastination. Second one, we're going to talk about mastering change. The third one is breaking down limiting beliefs. And then the fourth one is being 100% committed. So let's start with maybe the not so favorite subject for many advisors or many people in general, procrastination. Now, it takes consistent effort to really stop procrastination that really holds us back from accelerating our business and even personal success. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with taking a break, but you know procrastination when you see it. Learn to stop that cycle of excuses and delays so that you can achieve even more success in your life and in business. Now, as an advisor business owner with an employee or maybe even employees, whether they're virtual or in your office, you've probably experienced what it's like delegating an important task under a specific deadline. So from experience, you've learned who you can trust to complete tasks well and on time, and when others really fall short. Have you ever delegated a time-sensitive task to someone only to find them making excuses, waiting until the last minute, or wasting time when they should really be working on your project? Well, if you're like most people, it probably got you fired up. So here's the question. If you don't tolerate procrastination from other people in your life, why would you ever tolerate procrastination from yourself? Well, first, let's establish that no one is perfect and no one is completely procrastination free every moment of every day. That would be ridiculous. However, you can spot that habitual procrastinator really anywhere. You know what those people typically look like. So here are some signs. Procrastinators are often overly optimistic about completing complex tasks in little time. You know, they think and say that, they work best under pressure. I've heard that a lot. They easily get distracted and lose focus when really there's no urgency. I don't know if that sometimes sounds like you, but I know sometimes that can be me. They delay starting because they have a false sense that everything really is under control, so there's no need to jump in and really immediately get to it. When no progress has been made, they offer reassurance that everything is under control. Their action is then driven by panic when they realize that everything is not under control. They scramble at the last minute, working hours on end to complete a project minutes before the deadline. Boy, I've seen that a lot. Do any of these sound familiar to you? Well, the key is to discover the root cause of your procrastination so you can actually correct it. And that's possible. Some people think it's not, but it is possible. Most procrastination is commonly rooted in one or more of 5 issues. So the first one being low self-confidence. So when you're feeling insecure about your ability to complete a task, forget about really completing it really well, you probably delay it to avoid feeling maybe stupid. So truth be told, you have more than enough smarts to figure it out. The good news is that more times you tackle a task head on and are successful, the easier it is to stop procrastination. Sometimes you just have to do it and just go for it. Number 2 is perfectionism. You're a perfectionist and nothing less than stellar is going to be acceptable. So you give yourself a break and let go of trying to be perfect. Given your high standards, your best is probably far above par. So somewhere along the line, you tied perfectionism, to acceptance. And you really want to explore that on your own. So really things do not have to be perfect. I call that getting ready to get ready. People just think, oh, it's got to be perfect and they're not going to do anything until it is. So they get ready to get ready. Number 3 is rebellion. Procrastination may be your way of expressing your rebellion. A sort of, you can't tell me what to do. I'll do it when I'm good and ready. Well, this probably didn't work when you tried to use it with your parents, or it did work and that's why you use it as an adult. But it definitely will not work if you really want to achieve your goals. If you really want to achieve your goals as a successful advisor, well, you're just shooting yourself in your own foot. Root cause number 4 is manipulation. This is more typically a common characteristic maybe of an insecure person. They can't start without me. This project is nothing without my talent. Well, this takes some personal growth to overcome and the realization that discounting the ability of others doesn't increase your own. So if you're feeling insecure, go, back and get maybe some additional training where that will help you. When you expand your skill set and gain more confidence, you can stop feeling insecure about your value. Root cause number 5 is coping with pressure. Procrastination may be a coping skill to just dealing with feeling overwhelmed, which is easy to do for many of us in a fast-paced world. You delay until you have the mental stability to perform the task or wait until the very last minute to start. While this may certainly be the case in some days, the important thing to remember is not to make a habit of this behavior. So you want to delegate tasks temporarily or permanently, if you can, to avoid feeling overwhelmed, if that's possible, or you could delay them or really work on your time management. So will you choose to begin reducing procrastination in your life so you can enjoy even greater success? Or will you continue to let procrastination hold you back from reaching your true potential? So what has to happen next for you to stop letting procrastination be your excuse? It's easy to make excuses, and it's even easier to use those excuses to procrastinate. With a little insight into why procrastination occurs, you may be able to reduce or completely eliminate it from your personal and professional life. Wouldn't that be a great feeling? Because we all have procrastination some places in our life. Okay, here's the first of the 4 times that we're going to really think about something and write down and take some notes. So these are action steps. So you want to list 5 past situations. It doesn't have to be 5. It could be 3. It could be 7. It could be whatever number. When you allowed procrastination to stop you from doing what you knew needed to be done. So think about some past situations when you allowed procrastination to stop you from doing what you knew needed to be done. And if you come up with any, just type them in the questionnaire. I'm curious to what some of you are thinking about procrastination and how you have some situations where you didn't do what you knew needed to be done, like making our client acquisition calls or following up on referrals, or what are some things that come to your mind? Any thoughts? You can just type in the question area some things that come to your mind. I usually find it around asking for referrals, introductions to people, not doing enough client acquisition, business development time. So think about those times that you procrastinated and then ask yourself, what will you do next time you feel procrastination entering into your life to change your actions and results? So if, for example, we got someone here saying, I'm not going out marketing, so not doing enough marketing. So when the next time you feel that you're procrastinating in that particular area, what will you do to actually change your behavior so that you get the results that you want? So what are you going to do to change your action? What's an action step that you can actually do to help you change your behavior so you get a better result? You know, I found that I have people ask themselves when they find themselves procrastinating, you know, what's the worst, you know, what are you really afraid of? And they'll tell you. I mean, they know there's something internally that they're afraid of. And so my next question is, what's the worst that can really happen? What's the worst thing that can really happen when you don't do what you know you're supposed to do? Or what if you did what you were supposed to do? What's the worst thing that can happen? And then the flip side of that is, what's the best thing that can happen if you actually don't procrastinate? So what could the outcomes be? What would be the best result that you could get if you didn't procrastinate? When you identify the root cause of your procrastination, which I think a lot of times is fear, you can really work on removing that fear. And sometimes, like Nike says, sometimes you just have to do it. So hopefully you came up with a couple of examples and actions that you can do to overcome those situations where in the past you might have procrastinated, but now going forward you have some ideas on some actions when you think about what's the worst that could happen, what's the best that could happen when you actually do it. I found a lot of times around the referrals, for example, and introductions, when I would talk to an advisor and I said, look, just go ask these people for referrals and introductions. And he kept saying, I'm afraid to do this because I'm afraid of how they're going to think of me or what they're going to treat me different or that they're not going to be very open or they're, you know, it's just going to be really uncomfortable. So he kind of laid this all out. And when he actually went and asked these people for referrals and introductions, they were like, oh, I'm so glad you asked. Yeah, I'd be happy to help you. You know, how many people, you know, do you want me to refer you to? And I mean, it was so much easier than he thought. He said, I really don't know what I was so afraid of. Sometimes we have all these preconceived notions that we put onto ourselves that stop us from doing the things that really, you know, people want to help people. And typically in this world, there's a lot of people that just want to help you and other people. So a lot of times you're just making it a lot harder for yourself by not doing it, because look at what's the best thing that could happen. Okay, the next area we're going to talk about is mastering change. There's a saying, the only thing constant is change itself. When you think about it, boy, if you don't keep up, it's, you know, you could really get left behind quickly with the way things change in the world today. And while you can try to resist change, you will not stop it actually from happening. So, you know, no matter how much we resist, I don't want to do that. I don't want to change. I don't like that. I don't want this. It's not really going to stop the way things are moving from actually happening. So the best way to go about it is really embracing change is one of the most important things you can do for your success. My husband, Bill, has a saying. He says, if comfort is your goal, success is not in your future. The ability to adapt to change and even welcome it, in my opinion, is absolutely essential to the success of your business and actually your overall life. What happens when you fight change? Well, that's pretty simple. Instead of embracing change and adapting it, you might be spending hours of energy fighting it only to have to eventually surrender to it in the end. The fight doesn't make it any easier, nor does it prevent the change from actually occurring. So why waste all the time and emotional energy to fight something that really is inevitable? My husband has another saying. He says, you can choose results or you can choose comfort, but you can't have both. So let's take a look at what happens when you actually embrace change. So here are 4 benefits that we're going to be talking about. The first one is you may uncover a problem you didn't know existed. So it's easy to become complacent when things seem to be going well or unable to see what's really going on when everything around you is stuck in a rut. So when you deal with the same pattern over and over again, you lose perspective of what is working and maybe what really isn't working or isn't working well. So continually having a healthy perspective and a finger on the pulse of your business, in my opinion, is a very valuable thing to be doing and certainly important. So as an advisor, it's essential that you run your business with the greatest efficiency and profit, of course. If you don't know what your big money maker is, or if your marketing plan doesn't have a successful return on investment, obviously you've got a problem. So research what drives other successful businesses and accomplishes the goals that you have in sight for your firm. Identify what works and then copy that model of what somebody else is doing to your own firm. Change and improve what isn't working, and you'll be setting your business up for even greater success. Take a forward-thinking approach to your business and anticipate changes, which are a lot of, obviously, changes are always going on in the financial services industry, but maybe even more right now, and how those changes can affect you, and be willing to change or adjust quickly if needed. Benefit number 4. The easy part is integration and adaptation. So many people resist change for the simple fact, again, that they're fearful of whatever they think pain or outcome that there is. The truth is that once you get past the resistance, integration and adaptation can be very easy. So as humans, we're inherently creative, and that allows us to adapt much more easily than we presume, at least upon the first perception. So once you do something and you're like, God, that wasn't so bad, it wasn't, what my brain thought was going to occur, then it makes it easier and easier for you to move forward and adapt quickly. So remind yourself that you'll have a much tougher go at it, at change, if you really fight it. So embracing it merely employs your inherent ability to adapt to a changing environment. So I think sometimes we're more flexible than we think we are, but we just don't allow ourselves to do that. Benefit number 3, make room for even more success. So your success only expands as far as you expand. So change allows you to grow and expand your perceptions, your beliefs, and performance. And that's what you want, because your success will come in direct proportion to that. In order to make room for the new, you must sometimes do away with the old. So look at embracing change as your opportunity to embrace the success that you have always desired and you truly want to have. Of course, you could look at it in another way. For every piece of resistance that you put up against change, you are also resisting a piece of your success. So don't let limiting beliefs hold you back, or fear of the unknown. Again, what's the worst that can happen? What's the best that could happen? More times than not, change will have a very positive outcome on your business, in addition to increasing confidence to change a little more quickly next time, and then the next time, and then the next time. Benefit number 4. You may get more of what you want and release what you don't want. So here's a popular quote that maybe sums it up. If you keep on doing what you've always done, you'll keep on getting what you've always got. I'm sure you've heard that a million times. This cannot be more accurate than when applied to your business and life. If you want different results, you are simply going to have to do things differently, even if they're a little uncomfortable. And I found that working with a lot of very successful advisors that they're very comfortable being uncomfortable a lot. So it's not pleasant, but they've gotten used to being uncomfortable more in order to get to where they are and where they want to go. If you don't like what you've been getting, then change what you're doing. You know, change can sometimes be scary, but it really is the key to ultimate success in business and life. What are you really afraid of anyway? It may not always feel comfortable, but the more willing you are to embrace change, the less painful it usually is, and the more success I believe you will experience. There is no single key to overcoming the anxiety you might feel when you initially embrace the change. The important thing to remember is that there are very exciting results waiting for you on the other side. So you just need to embrace the change, let's say with a welcome mat out front. So in the words of one of my clients, she used to say, you know, Ann, I just have to put my big girl pants on, suck it up, and just deal with it and do it. So you can say, you know, I just need to put my big girl, my big boy pants on and just do it. Go for it. I believe that what got you to where you are today probably isn't going to be what's going to take you to ultimately where you want to be. So change is inevitable. Now, let's take a look at what happens when you resist change. So there's 3 disadvantages that we're going to talk about before we get into the next exercise. The first one is the outcome doesn't change. Well, chances are that resisting isn't going to change the outcome. Change is inevitable, and when you resist it, you create probably more stress, struggle, and anxiety in your life. So why waste all that energy on negative emotions when you can make the process easier and faster when you're actually more willing to move through it and really embrace it? Disadvantage number 2 is you expend valuable energy on negative emotions. So no one likes to feel the effects of stress and anxiety. At least I know I don't. It's not healthy emotionally or physically. It increases those cortisol levels, which don't help us at all. Negative emotions contribute nothing to your success. In my opinion, they actually detract from it and could even make you ill in the process. So some people can get physically sick. Number 3 is you become a victim instead of a victor. When you resist change, you literally push away what is bound to happen anyway. So resisting change takes your power and makes you a victim, because basically what you're saying is, no, I'm not doing this. But then it happens anyway. So learning to embrace change is an incredibly empowering experience, because you suddenly go from a helpless victim to an empowered victor. So instead of shrinking back into the fear area, anxiously awaiting the results, you take active action, which then empowers you to help shape the experience you ultimately want to have. So here's our second area where we're going to take some notes on the concept of mastering change. So recall past experiences when you actually resisted change and allowed it to slow your growth in an area. It could be of your business or your life. So what are some areas where you actually said, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to move forward. I don't want to do that new technology. I don't want to change the way I talk to clients. I don't want to do time blocking on my calendar so I'm more focused. I don't want to, make those calls, whatever it might be where you resisted some kind of change. What are some things that come to your mind in this area that you said, oh, I resisted that, and it really slowed your growth down, or it happened in any way even though you were resisting? Any thoughts on that? Just type that into the question area. And then think about, when you're writing those down, what will you do in the future to be better at being open to change so you can achieve the results that you really want in the time frame that you desire. So here's places where I resisted change and it really slowed my growth, or it happened anyway. And then what will I do in the future to be better at being open to change so I can achieve the results that I really want? So, for example, effectively using social media to get referrals or introductions might be an example of where you resisted change, and now you might be realizing that you can't ignore the opportunity anymore and take advantage of it going forward. So, in an example, an advisor who was using LinkedIn at a client progress meeting to get referrals to people that were connected to him and others on LinkedIn, he basically, at the progress meeting, printed out a sheet of everybody that this person or this couple was connected to. He laid it out and, of course, just had a conversation about introductions or referrals and asked who on the list that he should be talking to, who they think that he should be talking to. Now, not everybody, of course, would be appropriate in every situation, but I think there was approximately 35 people on the list, and he got introductions to 13 of them. So that might be an area where you're resisting using some technology, and this could really benefit you. Okay, the third action step we're going to talk about today is breaking down limiting beliefs. And boy, we have limiting beliefs we don't even know we have. If you want big results, you have to learn to break down the limiting beliefs that we all have somewhere deep in our psyche sometimes. By becoming a go-getter and ignoring your inhibitions, you'll become more confident and therefore be able to accomplish more in life. You've got to really push the limits sometimes and step outside your comfort zone and reach even farther. If you're at all unhappy with your results, then you can directly attribute your actions, or basically your non-actions, to those results you're getting or actually not getting. So the key is to recognize that your past actions were probably taken based on a limiting belief. So break down a limiting belief and you can begin to take different actions, actions that actually bring about big results. So successful advisors all have something in common. They recognize limiting beliefs and transform them into success beliefs, and you can actually do the exact same thing. So success belief number 1 is everything begins and ends with you. So blaming others for anything, including your reality, is nothing but a limiting belief. It never matters what other people say or do. It only matters what you say or do. Everything good and bad can always be tracked back to an action or reaction that you made. So taking responsibility for everything in your life isn't accepting personal blame. It's understanding that basically you're just the creator of your life and you do actually have the power to make successful choices. Success belief number 2 is yes, you can. Self-defeating talk is obviously disempowering, so my recommendation is to just give it up. It literally takes away all of your creation power. The truth is, there is no such thing as can't. So for example, you can be, I guess a professional athlete if you choose to. It's unlikely you would become a professional athlete, of course, without training or experience, but maybe you could be a professional athlete with the right training and persistence. Now notice I said unlikely. So there is no can't about it. You can choose if you want. You can if you choose to. So get back in the driver's seat and really speak empowering words like I am, I will, I have. A lot of times even the word try bothers me. I'll try to do this. Well, are you going to just do it or not do it? So it's not about try. It really is, are you going to do it or not going to do it? So it's, again, your choice. Success belief number 3 is commit to your goals. If you want it, but aren't willing to actually do the work in order to get there, there's not really much point. You have to really want it and commit to it. Choosing to do something because someone else wants you to do it only makes it easier to quit. So achieving your goals isn't always hard, but it does take focus, commitment, and maybe even a little hard work. Commitment is much easier to deliver when you have the desire for the end result. I find a lot of times people who say they want to achieve things really comes down to, oh, that'd be it. Ultimately, that'd be a nice to have, but I'm just not going to do the work required. So it's not just be willing to, it's actually, are you going to do the work required to achieve the goals you've said, or are you not? So are you going to commit to them and really do the work required, or really is that just a nice to have? It'd be cool to have. Yeah, that'd be really nice, but I'm just, not up for doing all that work. And that happens to people. I find that a lot. Success belief number 4, you've got to believe in yourself. So from now on, you believe you can do anything because you realize that success just comes down to applying the right belief system. Those who believe create the impossible every day. And I'm sure you've heard lots of stories of people overcoming things and doing things that people thought were impossible. They dissolve disbelief in others by defying the odds and accomplishing what was said to be the impossible. Well, how did they do it? First of all, because they believed they could do it and then committed to doing what needed to be done to actually get there. So if those people can have that mindset and if they can do it, so can you. Anything that you set your mind to. But belief is one of my favorite words, so I do believe it has a lot of power. So you've got to believe in yourself. Success belief number 5, ignore the negative talk around you. The people around you, they may mean well, but they don't always say, quote, the right things. And that actually includes our family and friends. They provide you with advice that sometimes causes more harm than good. You may not even realize that people around you are actually holding you back from where you ultimately want to go. So if the people around you are telling you that you can't do something, just don't listen to them. Politely ask them to not say those things to you. You can do anything that you set your mind to, and I believe that to be the truth. So many times I've had people say, well, my husband or this person told me I couldn't do it, so, that really got them down when they felt like they really could, but the people were holding them back. Sometimes our peers don't want us to excel farther than where they are because they aren't going to do the work required. So they hold you back either intentionally or non-intentionally. Hopefully it's not intentional. They just want you to hang around with them and stay at that level instead of you soaring off to even bigger and better things. Success belief number 6, stated in the positive. Remember, your belief system shapes your reality. So say what you want and state it in the positive. Think about what you want, not what you don't want. Do you think, for example, that Bill Gates spent all of his time thinking about being a college dropout? No, he was busy being focused on building a multi-billion-dollar business. So here's the third area where some thought and some notes may come in for you. So list actions that you can take today to reduce or eliminate your limiting beliefs and bring you closer to achieving your goals. So what actions can you take today to reduce or eliminate any possible limiting beliefs that you have and bring you closer to achieving your goals? So for example, if I muster up the courage, and sometimes that's what it takes, I found with some advisors, to ask for referrals or introductions, I hope to get one name, versus confidently asking for referrals and introductions because you believe in the value you provide and you expect to get a list of 20, 30, 50, 100 introductions to people that you might be able to help with their financial situation. And I know sometimes you might be thinking, Han, that's ridiculous, 100 names. It's possible. I know people who have accomplished getting lots of names, like 57, 75, even 100 introductions. It is possible from one couple or one person. So there was an advisor one day that I was talking to about referrals or introductions. And he told me that he typically would get one referral every time he mustered up enough energy to ask. And when he asks, that's what he gets. So when I asked him, what do you expect to get when you ask for introductions? He said, well, I expect one. And I said, well, if you expected more, do you think you would get more? He said, if I expected more, I probably would get more. So I said, well, let's just try an experiment and let's come up with some number that you're now going to believe and expect to get when you ask for introductions. And you might not want to go wild and crazy and say, hey, it's going to be 20 or 30 or 50, even though I know it's possible because I've seen it happen. You might say, hey, it's 5 or 10 or something smaller than what you've been getting. Start someplace. So he went with that. He said, okay, and he picked his number that was obviously higher than 1. And when he started to expect it and he believed he could get more, guess what happened? His numbers of introductions went up. Now, here's the real test. Whatever you wrote down, whatever things you wrote down that you're going to take action on today to reduce or eliminate your limiting beliefs and bring you closer to achieving your goals, you want to say, okay, I'm going to put that on my calendar and I'm actually going to commit to doing those things. So what is it that I've been afraid to do, not willing to do, holding off on? And I'm going to actually commit to doing it. I'm going to put time on my calendar to accomplish it, and I'm going to get it done. Okay, the fourth action step is really being 100% committed. The quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, regardless of their chosen field of endeavor. Vince Lombardi said that. When it comes to committing to your success, there really has to be a no excuses, no exceptions rule to back it up. This rule especially holds true for people in your position who run your own practice, simply because there's no one else to point the finger at should things not work out as planned. You are the one holding the key to your success, and no one but you can be really held accountable. Once you make a commitment to your success, you must cut all ties to an out, an escape, or an alternate plan, because that will set up yourself for failure. So in your mind, you'll start thinking, well, I could use this as an excuse. I could use this as an escaper. Here's plan B. So that leaves you an out, and that leaves yourself set up for failure. So in other words, when you establish only one direction to go, and that is where you will go. So imagine with me for a minute. What would happen if you were to commit to your success only 99% of the time instead of the 100? So 1% of your clients would be unhappy with your product or service, and they would tell 10 of their friends. Those people would proceed to tell their friends they had a friend that had a bad experience, potentially translating into dozens of lost clients and thousands of dollars in lost revenue. Let's say 1% of your, if you still use this, printed marketing materials were published with a spelling or grammatical error. That's if you still print things. And I've seen this. I've actually seen things with errors, typos in them. Or you could actually apply this to your website or any communication, any letters or anything that's communicated to people. This really, in my opinion, has a devastating effect on any business and with a poor perception from any clients or even potential clients. So finding typos, I mean, I've read books that have been published by major publishers and I found a typo. I mean, it's not always really easy to do, to find everything, but you have to really work to make sure it is, you don't even have 1% of anything that's written, whether it's on your website, whether it's if you're using social media, anything like that gives a bad perception when it isn't spelled correctly or there's a grammatical error. A funny situation, one of my girlfriends is dating, so she was on a dating website and I was reading something that the person had written about himself or what he was looking for, and he had typos in that. And I thought, well, that doesn't say a whole lot about this person. And, she's smart and wants somebody who's smart, and you have typos in your bio area. That's just not good. What about 1% of the time your team didn't answer an email from a prospective client or even a client within 24 to 48 hours? Maybe they responded because you've tasked them with answering your email. Maybe they responded 3 to 5 or more days later. And now you learn that these people have taken their business to someone else who actually responded within 24 or 48 hours. Again, not good. Okay. So it may not seem like there is such a big difference really between committing 99% or 100% of the time. However, the results can be dramatically different. There's only 2 rules to remember to being committed, in my opinion. The first one is being 100% committed to actually achieving your goal. There may be many opportunities or excuses or exceptions, but under no circumstance do you waver from what you truly want to achieve, ever. What do you do if your life doesn't support your goal achievement? Well, in all honesty, there's just no easy way around it, really. Some changes will have to be made. Sometimes those changes are easy, and other times they're not, especially when there's others to consider. So after all, every action that you take has a potential possibly to affect maybe your family or other people that you know. So sometimes you have to put that into consideration, but you still have to steady the course. You may have to do some soul searching even to find out if you can make changes that will allow you to commit to your goals while doing the least amount of discomfort to those around you that will be directly affected. So if you choose to commit to achieving your goals, in my opinion, do not settle for anything less. Rule number 2, 100% commitment to never-ending improvement. You may be better and hopefully you are, than you were yesterday, but in no way are you better today than you will be tomorrow. That just makes sense. So taking a humble approach to learning is one of the best ways to set yourself up for greater success. Use every action and reaction as an opportunity to learn how to do things better next time. What can I do different? What shouldn't I do? What can I change? So learn from these experiences and be better next time. You might surround yourself with as many positive role models as you can. You might watch, listen, and learn from other successful advisors that have gone before you that what can you really learn from what they've done? What can you do and maybe make some shifts in your perception and how you do things that they've done? So when you're facing obstacles or challenges, do not allow that self-doubt, the fear, or even frustration to sway your commitment. In fact, really, during these times, it's more important than ever to remind yourself why your goals are important to you. You might even have to reconnect with the emotions that are the driving force behind your goals, and you'll remember why you are taking the action in the first place to make the changes necessary to get to where you want. So remember, your commitment to your success not only benefits you, but of course it benefits those around you and possibly even the world as well. So the more people you impact with what you do, the more people in the world are better. So instead of some schmuck, not treating or helping somebody well, you have the potential to rescue clients away from those people and really help them and make, their lives better. Give them things that they really need. And I think that's important, and that's how you impact, a lot of people in the world by doing what you do, which I think is very important. Okay, our fourth action step today. Are you committing less than 100% to the achievement of your goals? If you answered yes, then we have a little bit of work to do. So list goals that you are absolutely committed to achieving. Again, it can be 5 goals, 4 goals, 10 goals, 3 goals, whatever it is. What are you absolutely committed to achieving? Anybody have any thoughts on one goal that they're 100% from this day forward, Anne, I'm 100% committed to achieving this particular goal? What is that goal? If you have one of those on your mind, just type it in the question area. Now you want to think about then or actually identify what changes or action steps that you can take to make forward momentum and progress on each one of those. So of your goals that you've written down, what are the action steps that you're going to actually take to make the forward progress towards achieving each one of those? So what's the action item that you're going to do with that particular goal moving forward? So instead of the average of, I think it is 23 minutes of client acquisition or business development, which is an average advisor's, according to a study I read, time that they spend, I'm going to spend 5 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours doing business development, client acquisition, marketing, whatever you might call it, because I really could be impacting more people's lives. So what are the actual action steps you're going to do to make sure you're going to do that? I'm going to time block my calendar. I'm going to, if I have an assistant, make sure that they, cattle prod me or duct tape my hand to the phone or make sure I'm out of the office meeting people, whatever that might be. So what are your action steps to achieving your goals that you're going to do, and make sure you add that to your list and put time in your calendar to do those things. Peter Drucker has a great quote, at least I think it is: unless commitment is made, there are only promises and hopes, but no plans. Okay, so my hope is that you got some value from some of the things that we talked about today and got some ideas and action plans and steps moving forward. If you would like to dive deeper and learn even more, you can actually obtain all 9 action steps for making more money and getting better results. We obviously, in the time that we had, we only scratched the surface today and only briefly really covered the 4 of the 9 steps. With the ebook and 10 audio program, which has about 5 hours of high value content, you can learn even more to help you make more money and get better results. So the other areas that we didn't cover that are part of the 9 are learning to make the right choices, overcoming fears, taking a no excuse approach, effective goal setting, and effective time management. And then the conclusion actually has additional content within that as well. So it's almost really 10 chapters, so to speak. So typically the ebook and 10 audio program is $197, and you can get it for 50% off because you're part of the WebEx Insider Group, which brings it down to only $98.50. And if you apply your silver membership, which it's free to apply to this, it's 10% additional off on that, so you get 60% off. So it's less than basically $79 to obtain this entire program, which you can listen to over and over again. A lot of people like to listen to it when they're working out, listen to it in the car, that sort of thing. And then the exercises at the end of each chapter are very valuable to help you actually apply the concepts. So how do I do that? Well, if you just go to the Success Store on accountabilitycoach.com, you can apply the promo code is IWebXJUN. That's IWebXJUN. It's valid until tomorrow, so we like to help make sure people, if they're interested, they take initiative to take advantage of this great opportunity. So you can get 50% off with the IWebXJUN. And then if you apply the silver membership code that you get when you apply for the silver membership, you can get that down to 60% off. So again, it's basically less than $79 when you apply those 2 promo codes at the accountabilitycoach.com Success Store. Now, there's also a number of complimentary resources that I think are high value. So the web class replay from today is going to be available on this particular landing page. So it's accountabilitycoach.com iWebX-request-free-resources. Not sure why my assistant likes to make things so long, but that she does. So that's where you can find the replay that will be available from today. So you can listen to the webinar again if you'd like. Look at the slides. So both of those will be available. Plus I did a web class on May 18th called 7 Proven Ideas That Help Advisors Achieve Better Results, with a number of complimentary resources on those, with pages of slides that give examples of everything I was talking about. Some of those are prioritized action list, a time log, a business opportunity referral tracking worksheet, because I find so many times I work with advisors and they said, oh yeah, I worked so hard to get these referrals. What did I do with that person's name? Who were they again? Did I ever call them? And it's like, oh my God. So every time they give me a scenario that they're not really doing what they need to be doing or not using the tools they have, I create something. So they have a lot of value to you to use these like they've used them. So there's a ton more free resources on this particular landing page that you can take advantage of from today, as well as from the previous web class that I did for Insurance WebEx, the Insider Group. So again, you're 50% off on the Success Store for the entire 9 Action Steps book and audio program, which is about 5 hours of audios, is IWebXJUN, and it's valid until tomorrow. Hopefully you got that landing page. If not, I believe as long as you've signed up, it would come in an email reminder from the GoToWebinar automatically. So you're probably thinking, well, now that I know what the 4 of the 9 steps are, at least, for making more money and getting better results, what are my next logical steps? Well, in my opinion, I'd schedule time to watch or listen to this program again. The slides and the webinar recording will be posted on my website typically within 48 hours. You know what it's like when you watch a movie a second or third time and see or hear things that you missed the first time? Well, I believe in repetition, and I believe typically repetition is of value and good and a good thing. So if you don't get all the 9 steps, the book and the audio, you can at least listen to these 4 again. And of course, schedule time to make sure you implement the ideas that you wrote down today. You may have had some aha moments and things that, oh, I really need to be doing this. I really need to be focused on that. I'm really committing to doing those things so that you get the results that you're looking for. So imagine that it's 1 year from now and you wake up and as you're leisurely drinking your morning beverage, you realize that you're now living your ideal dream business and life. Take a moment to reflect on what you did to actually get here. Well, you took action maybe on what you learned today is a key factor. So in other words, don't let this be another session that you attended and didn't implement anything. I, of course, appreciate Insurance WebEx inviting me to share these concepts with you and let me know how else I can help you on your goal achievement journey. So remember, on the accountabilitycoach.com success store, you can apply your 50% coupon discount code at iWebXJUN and use the silver membership that's free to join, and you get a lot of additional benefits of joining the silver membership for an additional 10% off, so you get 60% off, so it's less than $79 for the entire 9 steps for making more money book and audio program. If there's anything else I could do that would help you in any way, please let me know what that is. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Appreciate you joining today.